All right, what's up, guys? Today we're going to be going over a youth template that I like to utilize when I am training young athletes. I get a lot of questions from parents, and I just see a lot of parents online that have a lot of questions about what their athletes can do at home, what they can do with their athletes, like if the parent really doesn't have the funds or the time or the means to just be able to get their kid to extra personal training or extra strength coach sessions. What are some things they can do in their household, or just what would it look like if they want to do the training inside their home or inside their garage, and how their athlete can get better. I think, like, a lot of coaches and a lot of trainers out there try to gatekeep this information or make it a lot more complicated than it really needs to be. And so I've been experimenting over the last year and a half. I've just tweaked some things that I've done differently than I have in the previous years when I trained kids under the age of about 13. And I've had a lot of success with this template. All of the kids that are on it are getting better at their sports. Their movement patterns are increasing. They're getting stronger. I am seeing their development in real time. So it's really exciting, but it's showing me that what we're putting together here with this youth template is very beneficial. And I wanted to share this so that way, if you're an athlete yourself, like if you're a young athlete that stumbles upon my page, or if you're a parent, or if you just have a friend and their kid's coming up in the youth sports and you're like, hey, I know this stuff can help and I want to see them get better, this is for you. By no means is this the magic cure all, but I find that if you stick within this template and then you find variations that match what we're going to go over, it's checking all the boxes on a routine basis. Even if you're only able to do this maybe twice a week, it's still going to be very beneficial. You're going to get a lot out of it. You're going to basically get them exposed to all of the movement patterns, positions, and skills that they're going to need to develop that are going to have a high transference to their sports. And so I really like this template. I think it's extremely simple. Everything that I have on here, the kids and I get through in about 40 to 50 minutes. It doesn't even take an hour. Sometimes if we're hooting and hollering, messing around a little bit, or we're just, maybe they have some questions about some other stuff and we're just getting to a little bit of talking, that is the only time it ever extends to like maybe the 60-minute mark. But for the most part, like, this is about 45 minutes worth of quality work that we get them in and out. And like I said, it's proven very effective. So the first thing I always start off with is some form of activation. So whether that's, through like an active mobility, band work, a certain isometric. Usually I like to warm up the upper back, the shoulders, the hips, and the core. That's where I like to get started. And then from there, sometimes we might branch into different isometrics, maybe doing something with the hamstrings or the quads. Maybe we might do like a push-up iso hold or something like that. But those are things that I like to start our session off with. Like I said, I just like to get things activated and prepared. I like to get their heart rate elevated a little bit, get a little sweat going to build them up for what's to come. Nothing crazy, nothing too strenuous. Most of the time, at first, it's a little bit much for them, but after a couple sessions, and then definitely after the first, like, say, 2 week mark, work capacity is improving. They're getting used to the warm-up that I like to perform. So it gets them up to speed, and like I said, it just gets them ready for what we're going to be diving into. So then we usually jump into some form of med ball work. Usually we're just in the basement or the garage, so it's usually just some form of like a med ball slam. But when we get outside, I like to do med ball throws. So whether that's like overhead for height or overhead for distance, those are really great variations. Sometimes we might pick an object and do some like rotational med ball work as well if we can. But lots of variations to mess with. Again, just trying to work some explosive capacities there, get the heart rate up. I really, really like med ball work. It's explosive. It teaches them how to be powerful and put a higher amount of force, into a very light object. And so I really like this for really anyone I train, to be honest. Like, I have even the adults that I train do medicine ball work. But athletes especially are never going to go through a workout without doing some form of med ball work. We're going to usually combo that with like a jump or some form of like agility work, or like, footwork on like a plate or something like that. Again, just some fast feet, quick, kind of explosive. Again, just getting that, working some coordination, working some skill, timing, things of that nature. So I really like that. There's a lot that we can play with, in this block of exercises. There's a lot of variations there. Next, we'll move into a squat pattern comboed with a hinge pattern of some sort. So whether that's, the squat pattern could truly be anything, goblet squat, front squat, back squat, box squat. As long as it's a squat pattern, bilateral squat pattern is really just what I'm looking for there. And then the hinge pattern, same deal. A bilateral hinge pattern is ideally what I am after. So whether that's a kettlebell swing, an RDL, a back extension. And then we also like to do Nordics. I'm a big fan of Nordics, so those will definitely make their way into the rotation. But typically that's going to fill that block, and I don't like to venture outside of those things too much. There are things within those parameters that you can do, but that's just what I like to stick with. Next, we move into our next combo. We pick a pressing pattern comboed with a rowing variation of some sort. I don't really get terribly crazy with the young kids with the row variation because truthfully, we're just trying to build up the strength in their backs and tack on some muscles. So this usually looks like a single arm dumbbell row, a chest supported row, or a TRX row. If the kids got the strength and the ability, we'll definitely do like an inverted row or a pull up. But with really young kids, I like to build up those like the chest supported row and the inverted row on like a TRX. I feel like that has really good transference to get them ready for pull-ups. It's just a lot of kids nowadays really struggle to do basic pull-ups without the support of a band. So I like to just build up the back a little bit first, and then we work into pull-ups down the line a little bit. From here, this stuff kind of varies. It just depends. So our fifth block will usually be like either additional core work or it's going to be like some upper accessory of some sort. So usually the kids love the shoulder burners. So we'll usually do some form of like upper back / shoulder burnout. I usually get them pretty fired up. Or like I said, we'll do some core. Always do band hamstring curls or banded tricep extensions. And then we usually go outside and we'll do some farmer carries. If it's raining, we'll do belt marches. And then obviously we pull out the sled if we're not going to do a carry, but most of the time we do a carry, and then the sled makes its appearance every now and then. It's just how I have things set up. It's a bit more of a pain in the butt to pull the sled out. Not a big deal. I can make the accommodation, but we usually like to do carries. Kids like it. So this is a template that I put together, and truthfully, I wouldn't venture outside this at all. This covers all the boxes. We're getting all the foundational movement patterns covered. There's a lot of variations that you can work with within, like, again, the upper accessory and the core work. Those can be very different things. You have some variations to pick from with your row and your presses. There's lots of dumbbell variations you can do with your press. There's different bars that you can utilize. Same with the hinge and the squat. And then obviously like the medicine ball and the jumps that I talked about. There's a lot of variants that you can play within this framework. So I think it does a really good job of giving the kids different variety. So it keeps them interested. It keeps them active, and it's exposing them to different movements and patterns and positions. That's going to help, develop them into a more well-rounded, coordinated, capable, competent, athlete. And on top of that, like I said, I just think this checks all the boxes and gives you the room to experiment with different things. Or, hey, we like this, maybe we're not ready for this. Or oh, we didn't really like that, so we're going to change it out or try something new. Or maybe we just weren't good at something, and that gives us a chance to really improve it to build upon a weakness, right? So there's a lot of stuff that we can do within this template. This is the template that I use with my kids that come over now. We really enjoy it. We have a good time. Like I said, they're making progress. They're getting better. And that's truthfully just what I'm after. I want them to have a good time, and I want them to see the fruits of their labor. So if you have any additional questions on this, or you would like to see this into maybe a deeper dive, I have an ebook on my website called The Fundamentals of Strength and Conditioning of Training the Youth Athlete. I feel like I do a very good job of diving into foundational movement patterns, why they're important, why the athlete needs to be doing them, especially at a young age, where you can start, how to progress it, and it's free. I feel like this is a really good resource that you can keep on hand, that you can refer back to without having to, click on a YouTube video every single time you may have a question that pops up in your head. So if that's something that you're interested in, I highly encourage you to check that out on my website. I will link that down below. And again, I just appreciate all of your guys' support. Do me a favor, hit that like button, hit the share button, subscribe to the channel. All of this helps not only the channel, but my business, so I can continue to put out high quality videos for you guys. Help keep putting out good information, and just helping people, reach their goals. And if you have any questions on this, or would you like any, further details, shoot me an email at abestrength@gmail.com. Would love to help you with any questions that you have. Thank you, guys.